You just cut out again. Hello, everybody. This is Christine from Two Rivers Bookstore, and I'm chatting with my friend Craig from Tin House. Craig is an old book friend who happens to also live in St. John, and you're the publisher of Tin House, right?
Yes, I am.
Wow, that's crazy. So we're going to talk about books, and I'm drinking, I don't know if you can see, this is wine from 45th Parallel, our local wine bar that I love. And Craig, what are you having for happy hour?
I've got, we've got mine in a Tin House koozie.
Nice.
Mine is a Dale's Pale Ale. I've been drinking a lot of IPAs from the Pacific Northwest, but Dale's is out of Colorado, but this is also brewed in Brevard, North Carolina as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'll crack it open.
Woo-hoo!
Happy hour.
Happy hour. That's awesome. So we're going to talk about the new books that are coming out from Tin House. I want to read all of them. I have. Sorry about the dog. Mostly Dead Things. Let's start with that one since it's already out and we're doing a book club with it. And go, Craig.
Yeah, we're very excited about this. We brought this out last year in hardcover, and it became our biggest bestseller of all time. It's just absolutely such a fun book. We brought it out 2 weeks ago in paperback. If you haven't seen the paperback package, it's pretty outstanding. It has just amazing blurbs. The back, the whole package is outstanding. Our team here does a magnificent job with really trying to bring the vibrancy of each book to life through the design. So, but mostly Dead Things, set in Florida. Kristen Arnett tells the story, all centered around Jessalyn Morton, who has taken over her father's taxidermy business after he passes away. It's a tragic death, unexpected, and it's left her entire family in a lurch. She wakes up every single morning to go down to the taxidermy shop to find that her mother in the middle of the night has put the stuffed animals, in uncompromising sexual positions, which attracts a local art gallery owner who wants to give her own exhibit. But it's an amazing family story told with a lot of heart, so much humor. And it's how we experience grief as a family, as a community, and what we do to rely on each other. And in those moments, pulling apart, pulling toward each other. But just the vibrancy of Kristen's storytelling. It is certainly with the humidity that you feel when you read this book. You feel Florida come to life. You want to pop beers left and right, along with Jessalyn, who might be pounding way too many beers throughout this book. But we're just really pleased that we were able to bring this out in paperback 2 weeks ago. So
I love this book. Kristen is actually going to meet with one of the book clubs that we host on May 25th. So if you want to join the book club for that, you just let me know. It seems like Tin House has a lot of dysfunctional family books on this list.
Maybe. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to ask Maisie, our editorial director, because she doesn't come from a dysfunctional family. But I think maybe, I don't know what that says about Tin House. Hopefully not a lot. But that could lead me into our next book, The Index of Self-Destructive Acts by Christopher Baja. Chris is actually the head editor of Harper's Magazine. This book actually just pubbed last week. I describe it as sort of a Tom Wolfe, Jonathan Franzen, Colm McCann book, all centered in New York City during the Obama administration. And it's this big, epic New York family saga novel that takes place during one Mets baseball season. And you follow a young man who has just arrived to New York, sort of a Nate Silver character who has correctly predicted the last election. And now he's sort of a star, and he's invited to come to New York to write for a magazine. And his first assignment is to interview Frank Doyle, one of his favorite authors, a baseball figure who is now disgraced for some politically incorrect comments he made during a Mets baseball game. And what you see is the crumbling of this family, this amazing New York family, and you go into each of their lives through Sam Waxworth, this main character that's brought into the Doyle family. There's almost a Great Gatsby feel to it. And the title itself, The Index of Self-Destructive Acts, is actually a baseball term coined by Bill James. It's those errors that pitchers make, the wild pitches, the balks, and everything like that. And in many ways, the characters represent these self-destructive acts, these things that they bring onto themselves that they can't get away from, pulling the rug out from underneath themselves. But it also tells a greater story about New York and the city and everything around it. So in many ways, it does remind me of a Con McCann, Let the Great World Spin. But just a big honking, you can see how thick this is. It's outstanding. We just last week got an epic New York Times book review, which was pretty outstanding. So we feel like this is the big immersive novel, especially for Father's Day coming up.
That's what I was going to ask you. Father's
Day.
Yeah. And I love that cover design.
Yes.
So, those have just arrived at the store. I put a link in the top of the chat if you want to purchase any of these online, just a little PSA. The index is now at the shop. We're doing shop by appointment. We're not comfortable just throwing the doors open right now. So we're only doing shopping by appointment. So you can come in tomorrow to shop by appointment. Next book.
This will be coming out. This is More Miracle Than Bird by Alice Miller. This is our spotlight debut novel of the summer. Comes out in early June. I think the package is, we just got these finished copies in. It looks outstanding. And there's also just the beauty, not just the cover, but I like what our designers do with the interiors, like imprint it. But this is the story. This is anyone who loves historical fiction in the vein of Paris Wife, Loving Frank. This is the story of Georgie Hyde Lees, who is William Butler Yeats, the famous poet, his wife. And it is told through her eyes as she arrives in New York on the eve of World War I. And she wants to make her way into the London literary scene. And she immediately runs into William Butler Yeats, who slips her an envelope to a secret society. And this secret society, this is something that Yeats and Ezra Pound, a lot of literary figures participated in London, but they were so into the occult. They were into channeling the dead and seances and just pulling themselves into this secret society. And Georgie finds herself in this world, and she finds herself rising up into the ranks of this secret society very quickly. She's also completely smitten by Yeats, who is much older than her. And she's been warned by her family and friends, her mother, just to stay away from this guy. He's in love with Maud Gonne, but she's insisting to be a part of his life. And she actually begins to use her powers to influence his writing. And if you take a look at this, a lot of writers said William Butler Yeats would be like a mid-list poet had it not been for Georgie Hyde Lees. So this is a really strong feminist story. This is, while she could not pursue her own, she manipulated her situation. She manipulated Yeats a little bit. She manipulated the society in which she was involved in to sort of pursue and advance what she wanted. but it is an amazing smart historical fiction.
I was going to ask you about the writing because I think it's really good writing.
Alice is, she's a New Zealand writer. She lives in Germany, and we were just shocked by how strong this debut novelist wrote. This just does not seem like a freshman novel at all. This seems like somebody that has been writing really, really well for years. And the endorsements from the writers like Christopher Castellani and Caroline Levitt, Joan Silber. So we're pretty excited about this new voice to introduce when it comes out. So yeah.
Atlantis Black, is that the next one?
Sure.
This is for the podcast people who follow the murder ladies.
Yeah, this one, this is just the galley of it. We're really happy with how the galley turned out. We've got these amazing pictures of Betsy Bonner and her sister Atlantis on both. There is a lot of bookseller buzz going on about this.
It's nonfiction.
It is nonfiction. It's memoir meets crime. And when we introduced this book to the indie booksellers at Winter Institute, they went nuts over this book. It was just such an amazing response. This is a story. Betsy Bonner finds herself just going down this amazing wormhole, trying to discover if her sister Atlantis Black is dead. It opens with a scene in a Tijuana hotel where the police find a body that looks like she has died from a drug overdose. They do a quick autopsy, and then basically, and the police even say it doesn't fit the identification Atlantis Black, but they just put it through anyway. And what Betsy does here is she goes back in time and tells the story of her and her sister growing up in a very abusive situation just outside of Philadelphia. And Atlantis, how she breaks free. There's following sort of her pursuit of music and rock music. And you see this young, troubled woman dealing with mental illness, dealing with drug abuse and everything like this. And she's almost at the point of actually breaking through on the music scene. This takes place in the mid-90s. You see sort of her emerging star status. And then all of a sudden, things start falling apart. And it is just this immersive story about sisterhood, about mothers and daughters, about wrong decisions, right decisions. And you really don't know if she has died or if she is just, as she's hinted at, like wanting to disappear completely. So there's an incredible rock and roll theme that runs throughout, but I don't know what to compare it to. I think it's sort of standalone in many ways, but I think it's going to be a very exciting book for us when it comes out in August.
Well, I think it's fascinating that her sister wrote it, right? Like how do you write through all of that pain and struggle of looking, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, she really writes close to the bone. I mean, there's a lot of emotion, but she also has the ability to step away and take a journalistic perspective through this as well. So very exciting sort of true crime memoir. So that comes out in August.
And now that we're talking about sort of murder mystery stuff.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, Tin House introduced Who is Vera Kelly? This became an absolute love fest from the media. It was an NPR Best Book of the Year, Entertainment Weekly. Everybody fell in love with this. Vera Kelly, this was set in 1962. A young woman who was thrown into the world of CIA. And she is such an original character. This is a young lesbian woman in the early 60s working for the CIA. and there's just great wit, great personality. There's a lot of martinis involved when it comes to Vera Kelly. We sort of describe her, we were talking about this recently, sort of a Mary Tyler Moore meets Raymond Chandler quality to Vera. And so this was a big hit for us a couple years ago. And Vera is back in early June with her new one, Vera Kelly Is Not a Mystery by Rosalie. And I just think this is smart, engaging, perfect summer reading. We're bringing this out as a trade paperback. And basically, Vera Kelly has quit the CIA game. And she is in New York. And the only job she can get is in the typing pool. And it's not working out for her. As soon as they find out, the employers find out that she's lesbian, she loses her job. So the only thing she can do is build on her experience and open up her own private investigation firm. But again, just the what people bring to that, as soon as they find out that it's a woman PI, the phone gets hung up. And she finally gets a break when a couple comes in, and it's a missing boy situation. And it has to do with the exile from the Dominican Republic. This young boy is lost. And so she's assigned to this. And while that plays the big backdrop and the mystery behind it, you really get a great sense of New York City in the 60s and sort of the underground gay scene and the raids that are taking place. And just there's a lot of romance and heartbreak in this. Because she's really at the center. You've got the mystery as the backdrop, but you fall in love with it because this is somebody you definitely want to drink martinis with in New York City in a dimly lit bar. And,
did you ever see the series Miss Franny Fisher?
No.
The detective. I think it was originally an Australian book, but it's an Australian series on Netflix. Vera reminds me a little bit of her.
This I could see, and this will continue as a series. And I just think like this would make an incredible Netflix series. It's so just timely, but there's sort of a classic feel to it as well because it's set in the 60s, but so fresh and so smart. And we just like, this is not something I would read. And I told Maisie, who's the editor, I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to hang out with Vera, you know? So
maybe your Halloween costume.
Yeah, I think so. They're just, I just think the packaging is outstanding. So,
yeah, I do too. It's really great.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Craig? I'm wondering about Tin Houses in Portland. Why all these New York-based novels?
I don't know. I never thought about that. I think it's a matter of where the writers reside. You know, what is their inspiration? And obviously, Baja with the Index of Self-Destructive Acts. He was born and raised in New York. I mean, when you read the Index, you feel like the city is so important. The same with Rosalie, the way she brings Brooklyn to life, and who is Vera Kelly. So I think it just happens to be
good, right?
Where the authors know best. We have this book, Scorpion Fish, which is coming out in July as well as a trade paperback original. And this is all set in Athens, Greece. And Natalie Bakalopoulos is the author of this. And she just spent so much time in Athens. And it's just one of these sun-drenched summer novels. So I think it's just more or less writers write where they know. You know?
Yeah. I totally forgot about Scorpion Fish. So when you're sweating outside in your backyard in the next week, that might, think of that one.
Yeah. So
I love every single one of these books, and I can think of 3 people for sure for the Index. And Vera Kelly, would you say she's like for the Miss Cop audience?
Amy Stewart.
Yeah.
Amy is a big fan. In fact, she is one of the authors that definitely endorsed I believe she endorsed the first one. Yeah. This twisty, literary, woman-driven spy novel you've always wanted to read, Amy Stewart. So definitely, you nailed that one.
Yeah. So we're wrapping up. We're trying to keep these to 15 minutes. Craig, do you want to do a PSA for Tin House workshops or any other kind of stuff coming up?
Well, I would say PSA would be your bookstore first and foremost.
Oh,
I mean, seriously, it's you guys, St. John's and even the greater St. John's community should really, I grew up in small towns that did not have bookstores. And I think, you guys have to get out there. St. John's has got to get out there and support Two Rivers. And that's the big PSA. And then just take the books you buy and meander down to Lombard House. Read them while having a beer at Lombard House, which is my go-to bar in St. John's. So,
yeah. Well, thank you for that. I think the community has come out for us in an incredible way, and I'm really pleased. I'm touched by everybody who calls, who orders books. I want to give a little shout out to Zipporah. She has a program called Reading as Resistance. She's online here. It's a PSU. I don't know exactly, Zipporah. Maybe I can bring you on. You can talk about it a little bit.
You can make her go to the green room first.
No, I think I can just invite her on screen. So we're testing out this crowdcast stuff. It's all new, but I think we can have 3 people on screen. I think you just have to accept. And some other PSAs you might not know. Occidental Brewing has their beer. Hey, Zipporah. Okay. PSA for Reading Resistance.
Yeah, Reading is Resistance is a program partnership with Portland State University. And the whole heart of the program is about bringing diverse and inclusive books into to expand our libraries and our homes and in our neighborhoods. And we are putting together some kits right now, my students and I, some reading kits for parents and teachers who are at home doing the teaching thing, and they have anti-bias learning questions built into them. So talking about the book through like an anti-racist framework is just part of these kits, and also additional resources for learning. So it's super fun, super easy. We can't wait to share it with more people.
Yeah, if you send me the link for that, we will definitely include it in our e-news and on the website. So
thank you.
That's great. Yeah. This is St. John's, people. These are our people. We have amazing people here. If you have time and the energy and you're hankering for barbecue, Dubs could use your support.
What about Occidental?
Occidental has pickup Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's a really cute title of what it is that they do, but I totally forget what it is called. But you can go down there, pick up some beer.
I don't have to. The owner lives 3 doors down from me on our street.
Hello, St. John's.
I see them every single day at 5 o'clock.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have great people in St. John's. Let's see, what's the last PSA? We have a singer-songwriter night the first Friday of June. It's Kate Peterson. We're doing it on Crowdcast. Jamie Sterling is the host. We hope you'll join us. Date night in, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I guess thank you, everybody, for signing on. Craig, thanks so much for participating in this little experiment.
Yeah.
And if anybody has missed this, they can rewatch it after we're done.
On Netflix or Hulu?
Hulu.
Okay. Season 2.
On Crowdcast. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.